Indigenous nations enjoy self-governance predicated on the fact of continuing, unextinguished inherent powers, for ease of reference collectively called sovereignty. It is because we have this that we were able to enter into treaties with Her Majesty. Our treaties are the highest form of international law, and they are the highest law of the land as between Her Majesty and us. In our treaties, we affirmed our Constitution, who we are, and our right to be solely within our own control. This cannot be lawfully or constitutionally infringed or interfered with by any level of Her Majesty's governments, including her domestic courts. We, the Indigenous peoples, have a constitution which predates European contact. This is not a constitution rooted in another country, such as the Constitution of Canada rooted in English sovereignty. We have the original constitution that governs us as the original inhabitants of our lands. Our constitution is rooted in and of our lands and continues in existence today. It predates the Canadian Constitution by millennia. Our constitution is described in law as being autochthonous, and it is also religious and spiritual, and the Creator is supreme. Autochthonous is defined in the concise Oxford Dictionary as being native to the soil, indigenous, of the original earliest known inhabitants. Ours has not been a written constitution, such as the United States created after their revolution. It remains nonetheless our valid constitutional and supreme law. There are many Indigenous peoples who still adhere to our Constitution. That is the source of our self-government, and it is strong. Some, now known as Aboriginal Canadians or Canadians of Aboriginal descent, no longer adhere to our Constitution, choosing instead to abandon our Constitution and assimilate into and beneath a lower law, the Constitution of Canada. For those who choose to, quote, find their place within the Constitution of Canada, end of quote, the source of and the legal nature of their self-government is entirely different and inferior. It is sourced only through Canadian legislation, and it is weak. Adherence to our autochthonous Constitution is perceived by some to threaten the Canadian system of property rights, though it does not. This is because, through our sovereign right, we entered into treaties and provided Her Majesty with our permission to use our land for certain purposes. In turn, Her Majesty has permitted her people further lesser interests in her estate, which she obtained from us. We also agreed to a permanent relationship with Her Majesty and those who claim through her. But because of fear or desire for greater power, in addition to insisting on land claim settlement agreements that comply with the federal comprehensive land claims policy, the federal government also insists upon construction and adoption of a new constitution. Our people are also being offered various federal policy self-government options. They are said to uniquely reflect our various local differences. All require the act of adopting a new constitution. The adopting of a new constitution cuts the links with our previously existing since time immemorial autochthonous constitution. This would create a clean legal break from our laws. With a new constitution, there is no longer any connection to our original autochthonous constitution that melds land, animal, medicine, resource, body, mind, and spirit from the four directions or doors. The Creator gave us our places, and the Creator gives us all that is around us for life. All is a gift from the Creator, and with receipt of those gifts come responsibilities to share, take care, and live in concert with that around us, all our relations, to preserve for the next generations. Our Constitution asserts and proves that we have simply always been here, that we have the right to be here, and that we have the right to stay, provided that we live up to our responsibilities. We have the right to use land and to benefit from the resources of the land, and this is given to us and is essential to our survival. Our sacred treaties protect us. We also have many local laws and ways we must live, and there are and can be differences in our local laws. These can evolve and adapt to changing local circumstances, but we all share in our Constitution. It is important not to confuse our local community self-government laws with our Constitution. Our local community self-government laws operate within our Constitution. They are not separate and apart from our Constitution, and they are not a substitute for our Constitution. Our Constitution respects our local differences and enables us to live together. Canadian policies would like to buy us out, to tear up our Constitution. It is like tearing out our heart. An honorable Crown would not attempt to coerce us into signing new deals that will prejudice our treaties and our Constitution. An honorable Crown would not offer means to self-government such that the Indigenous peoples are left with the future ability to only assert that their treaties are local, domestic agreements, rather than the international treaties that they are, in fact, as has been recognized by the international community. There has been great effort to craft processes within the various federal policy initiatives and pilot projects to appear to be supportive of our expressed desires, that while willing to live side by side, to share and work together for the benefit of all, we are not prepared to be assimilated and thereby relinquish who we are and what we rightfully have in our own right, as has been given by the Creator and not merely by charity from another. But they strive to eliminate our Constitution, our sovereignty, and replace this with mere shadows, with local domestic agreements solely within the Constitution of Canada and as delegated by Canadian legislation. They strive to eliminate any connection for us to our original treaties, which have international status and recognition. They strive to break our connection to our land, to all our relations. They strive to break us apart into remnants of what once was. We come together in mutual respect, tolerance, and acceptance under the protection of our Constitution. A solid and certain foundation is not built through application of conquering philosophies, either by Canadian governments or by our own organizations. The time of justifying and believing such things to be beneficial has long since passed. This effort to have us agree to abandon who we are and our self-government to become Aboriginal Canadians is to have us join the ranks of many other ethnic minorities in multicultural Canada. There are Canadians of Italian descent, of Greek descent, and of Scottish descent. There are African Americans, but Europeans immigrating to Canada do not acquire any land-based rights in Canada. Black people in the United States were forcefully removed from their African homelands, but did not gain land-based rights on arrival in the United States. Aboriginal Canadians are similarly removed from their lands and then are allowed to stay in some parts for the time being by the Canadian and provincial governments. But they have lost forever their Creator-given connection to the land, and they have lost their Constitution, their true right of self-government. Aboriginal Canadians are legally a minority group possessing minority rights in Canada. They are individuals who share characteristics, but are not nations of peoples under an autochthonous constitution. Minority rights are very different from the rights we have as the Indigenous, Aboriginal, original First Peoples. Minority rights are not land-based rights. Minority rights focus on ensuring non-discrimination and fair treatment of individuals sharing the minority features by the majority of individuals who do not. The world has changed many times and has seen many times, and still we are here as we are to be. This our Constitution guarantees. This is our power. Many like to say that the federal government has power over us because of Section 91, sub 24 of the Constitution Act 1867. This is sloppy, loose language. This is what it says. 91. It shall be lawful for the Queen, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate and House of Commons, to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of Canada in relation to all matters not coming within the classes of subjects by this act assigned exclusively to the legislatures of the provinces. Going down to 24, Indians and lands reserved for the Indians. The federal government has the power to make laws for peace, order, and good government of Canada in relation to us. This does not mean power over us, or to make laws for us, or to make us into legal creatures of federal laws, or to delegate federal powers to us. It means that the federal government is to ensure that our relationship established by treaty is preserved in the interest of peace, order, and good government. This is essential constitutionally, for if Her Majesty's government breaks the treaties, then Her Majesty's constitutional foundation is disturbed. The breaking of treaty thus threatens the peace. The federal government must see to it that this does not happen. It must act to preserve the peace, order, and good government that exists because we provided permissions for Her Majesty to be present in our lands. This is what we are reminding Her Majesty's advisors, her Privy Council. This is what those who are engaged in government-sponsored efforts are reminded. The local community work is pretty much the same effort. The difference between survival and death lies in where this self-government work is placed, within our Constitution or within the Constitution of Canada. This is the choice for those who have not yet decided. We are encouraged to take our rightful place. Our rightful place is within our domain, our control, and our Constitution within our lands with all our relations. Canada's rightful place is contingent on respecting her constitutional limitations as set out in treaty, on her government's respecting our relationship, on not threatening the peace, order, and good government that the treaties allowed for. All our relations.